Kelly's getting ready to make us some chicken pot pies for lunch today, but they're of course going to be vegan. So she can tell you what she's going to do here and what she's substituting for the chicken, or you can still use this recipe to make anything, but this is how we do it.
Okay, for the chicken today I'm using Butler Soy Curls. They're just like a freeze-dried thing that you need to soak in water, and you just cover them in water, let it soak, and then it kind of gets spongy, but they need to soak for about 10 minutes or so before you can use them, and then drain them.
And that's going to give you the chicken texture.
It gives you the texture, but then you need, Butler also makes this Chik style seasoning, so you will sprinkle this on in a pan with it, and the pan you put a little bit of oil in there, and then it kind of soaks up the moisture out of the chicken from soaking, and then you sprinkle this on as it's doing that, and that is going to give you the total chicken flavor.
Okay. Because just to eat those regularly, you would not like them.
There's no flavor to them at all.
Soybeans.
I mean, they've made it look like strips of chicken. So I mean, if you want it beef flavored, you could just use a vegan beef base to it, or if you want a ham flavor, ham base, anything, whatever. This is going to take on whatever flavor you're adding to it, so whatever kind of sauce or anything like this. So if you're using this kind of seasoning that's a chicken flavoring, you're going to get your chicken flavor from it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can use something like this. The tofurkey it's a lightly seasoned chicken, and it's already all ready to go. This is a little more expensive, and I'd prefer to use this for something else. Sometimes I make chicken salad, stuff like that, but I also use the soy curls to make chicken salad too.
So this isn't a soy product, this is a wheat gluten
Yeah, so
product.
if you have a gluten intolerance or anything, you don't want to use this for sure. But some people can't have soy. And there's other options. Gardein makes, in the frozen section, there's different chicken, and there's all kind of different places now, or brands that are coming out with chicken substitute. But you can even make this without any chicken, or if you want to make it with regular chicken, you can too. So, and then this is the puff pastry that I use for the shell part of it. This has by far been my favorite that I've found. It's nice and flaky, and it is, let me see, it is vegan on here. So I have found this at Meijer. I've never found it at a Walmart or anything like that, but I'm sure a lot of other stores do carry it.
It is super light and flaky.
Otherwise, you can use a regular like pie crust if you find it that's vegan, but you're not going to have this flakiness that this gets you. And so while that was soaking, I went ahead and I cut up some onion, and then I cut up 2 small yellow potatoes, gold potatoes. And then I usually what's easiest for me, I usually keep mixed vegetables frozen in the freezer. If you have fresh and all that, great, or canned, whatever works best for you. When it comes time to make the soupiness part of it, I use this Better Than Bouillon. It's no chicken base. It is vegan. You have to watch though, because they do make this that's not vegan. But this is going to give you your chicken flavor without using this. This is way more expensive to use to try to get the amount of this needed.
Where did you get the Better Than Bouillon at, that one?
You can
Whole Foods?
We did get this one at Whole Foods. I've been told you can find it at Publix. I ordered on Amazon quite a bit because I know I can always get it there. It's hard to find the one that is vegan. And the soy curls and this other seasoning I always get on Amazon. And then I put Italian seasoning in later, a little bit of garlic, some black pepper, and then there's different ways to thicken it, which I will use cornstarch and water because that's what I have on the bus with me. Some people make a roux with butter and flour, a little more fattening. You can also use, I can't even think of the name of it right now.
Arrowroot or carrot?
Arrowroot,
Yeah.
That's right. I have a huge tub of arrowroot at home. Arrowroot with a little bit of water as well. So there's different ways of thickening, whatever your preference is. This is just what happens to be what I have on the bus with us.
And then these are the little dishes you're going to make it in?
Yes, I'll roll out the puff pastry and roll it, and then just cut it, and I'll put it in there.
And you're going to make these in the convection oven?
Yes.
So we have a microwave convection oven, and that is all run off of solar power here on the bus. So
Yes.
everything we're cooking is off of batteries and solar power.
Yeah, and the kind of oil that I like the best is avocado oil. You can use any kind of oil. This does better at high temperatures. So that's what I use the most.
Okay, and then this is a induction cooktop that you use
Yes.
to heat
It's
everything.
a Copper Chef one is what I have,
Yep.
but it doesn't matter what kind.
All right, you ready to start cooking?
I gotta let that soak a couple more minutes and then I will. If you want a little bit extra crispiness on the top, a little buttery, I do use the Country Crock plant butter with almond oil that I will put a little bit on the top of that puff pastry before it goes in the oven. But that's not something that you have to do. Okay. Turning this on, I usually just put it on medium. I have found that if I go any higher than that, that everything wants to stick. Sometimes I even turn it down a little bit from that, but it's only going to take about a minute or so for it to get up to temperature. Now, if you don't like using oil, you don't necessarily have to use it, but you definitely need something in the pan, so you could potentially put a little bit of water in there with your chicken base that you're using, because it's still going to soak up that flavor, but you don't want to use too much because we need to get that moisture out. So that's why I just, whoops, dropping everything. Just use a little bit of oil, enough that's going to be able to coat the pan. Chicken really expands when it soaks. Let that cook up.
They definitely have the chicken look down. You would not
Yes.
want to eat that right now, though.
No, there's like no flavor at all to it, and you definitely need to do this step because otherwise it's just a soggy mess if you don't. And this, you just want to kind of coat it. You'll see when I cook, I'm sorry I can't tell you how much I'm putting on because that's not the way I learned to cook. I just kind of lightly coat and then I just keep moving it around to kind of get it to dry out.
Smells good now.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that you're not cooking chicken. So it just takes a couple minutes to cook that up really good and, like I said, soak up that moisture that's in there. Almost done now. It's starting, you can tell it's starting to want to stick a little bit, so I know the moisture is out of there. This is probably way more than I want to use. I just finished off the bag that I had open. So I'll probably make some chicken salad or something with the rest of it. Grab a container to put it going here, put a little bit of oil. Now, cook up some onions here. Again, it's just kind of by how much you like. We love a lot of garlic and onions when I'm cooking, so I tend to go overboard myself on that. You just want to cook and brown these up. Cooking pretty good now. Go ahead and get my mixed vegetables open.
And you turn it down.
I did turn it down a little bit just because it was starting to stick a little. Frozen veggies. garlic in there. Again, it's just however much you like. We love garlic, so I tend to add a little more than what some people do. Let that cook up. You don't want to put the garlic in too soon because you could burn it, and that's not good. I like to warm this through just a little bit before I start adding the water in the chicken base. I'm going to go ahead and add some water in, and my bouillon. Now you use approximately 1 teaspoon for every 8 ounces of water. Again, I never measure. I just kind of dump it in, and I will do a taste test later, and if I need more, I add more. So I'll just put a couple scoops in here. And I just dump it in. And really depends on how thick you want this to be, on how much water that you want to add to make your base part of it here. So if you want your pot pies to be just a lot more with your veggies and your chicken, then don't add as much. But if you want it a little soupier, more gravy-ish to it, then by all means add more. Because we still need to add the chicken, but I want this to go ahead and boil and cook some before I add the chicken back into it. So we're just going to want this to kind of come to boil and just kind of keep checking the veggies to see if they're done. I also add in, I have just Italian seasoning. If you have fresh, it's always better, but being on the bus, this is the easiest for me right now. I just sprinkle it in. And then I add a little bit of black pepper. Again, if you don't like pepper, you don't need to put it in. Some people will add extra salt and stuff. I think there's plenty of salt in the base that I'm using, and we typically don't add salt to much. But that's just, the way that we like it. Like I said, you can add whatever you want. It's always best to not put it in to begin with and add it later. You don't want it to be too salty or too much pepper. I'm just going to let that boil for a little bit, or come up to a boil and let it simmer. Just chopping this up into smaller pieces so I can add it back in. Okay, this has been cooking for maybe 10 minutes or so. The veggies are nice and soft. Okay, this has been cooking for about 10 minutes or so. The veggies are starting to get nice and soft. I'm going to go ahead and add the chicken back in that I cut up. And if you like other veggies, you can add, sometimes I add peppers in, sweet peppers, sometimes I add in mushrooms. Kind of low on mushrooms right now, so I didn't put any of that kind of stuff in. Just kind of want to let this cook for a couple more minutes. And as you can see, I like to make it a little bit thicker. I don't like as much of the gravy type in it, so if you like I said, more of the gravy part of it, you can by all means add, more of a soup base type to it. Okay, and here then I just put a couple tablespoons of cornstarch in, and I added some water. And so we're just going to pour this in here and kind of stir it up, and it's going to start to thicken it. And again, it depends on how thick you want to go. At this point, after this is done being thickened, this is essentially just chicken a la king. So you could serve it over biscuits or toast if you want, if you don't want to mess with putting this in the oven and baking it as a regular chicken pot pie. The pastry here. The convection oven, I've got it set at 400. I'm just going to follow what this says on here. So because the mixture over here is already cooked all the way through, so you're mainly only needing to cook the pastry part of it. So I don't know that you can exactly go by how long it says on here. I just kind of keep an eye on it to watch it get the golden brown and crispy, and that's how I know it's done. This is just kind of rolled up on here. Get it to unroll. Stick a little. Wish I had a little bit bigger cutting board on here. Just take that. Wash my knife real quick. And then I just cut it in half. And then in half again. Then I just take a little bit of, I use olive oil spray, cooking spray. You just want to lightly coat that so it doesn't stick. And then we're just going to peel this off of here. I don't have a rolling pin. If I was at home, I would have rolled it out more, but I just kind of want to stretch it a little bit. Just want to kind of sit it down in there. Kind of let gravity kind of help pull it down in. Just need to watch, so put your fingers through it. And I'll just grab a spoon here. Out of my way. And then just scoop it in here. Beeping is our convection oven. It's up to temperature. You don't want to get too much because you don't want it to bubble oil over on everything. Then I usually just take this and kind of fold it over and in however you want. Doesn't look the prettiest. If you want, you could take extra pieces and cut it different. This is just, with this particular package, how I found that it's easiest to not waste. Butter. Scott always laughs at me, but I usually grab a spoon. because I think it's easier to spread it. But I just put a little bit on the top, and it's going to melt across there more. And then it just needs to get put in the microwave, or sorry, the convection oven. Okay, so we're going to put it in the convection oven.
And it is preheated to 400 degrees.
Yes. We are at a little bit of an angle, so it's going to close on me. Be very careful. And then hits. Come on. Let's try 25 minutes and see how that goes. Like I said, you just need to keep an eye on it to see it browning up.
While that's cooking in the convection oven kind of cycles on and off its power. So right now the solar power, there, the convection oven turned off for a few seconds, so we're banking power and then it uses a little bit of power. So we'll end up, when this is done, our battery percentage will really be about the same. The Battleborn batteries really handle it well. It's about 20 minutes into it now and it's starting to get light flaky brown top on it. The batteries were at 62% when we started, and they're still at 62%, and this has been on for over 20 minutes. So that was 25 minutes. They're looking pretty good. Do you think a little bit more?
I'm going to put it in for a couple minutes.
Okay. So there we are. What'd you do? How many more minutes did you put in?
2 more minutes.
2 more minutes.
So 27 minutes it ended up being.
Oh, it looks delicious.
You can hear how nice and crunchy, crispy, flaky. Hopefully I can get this out of here without it making a mess. And there we go.
That's mine. Yummy.